Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, the official translation of One Piece chapter 989 is out. You guys know how we do the video. We talk about the fan translation, we compare it to the official translation, note any difference, talk about literally anything at all, and then we get into comments from you guys. This week there is no difference between the fan and official translation. I gotta be honest guys, this was actually really surprising. The fan translation has been so inconsistent as of late, but as for the last chapter, chapter 989, it felt like the real deal, like Jai Mini's box or manga stream was back. So yeah, that happened and that was weird. We'll see if it continues. So let's get into the comments. I'm really looking forward to how the retainers and the Kozuki family react to Yamato claiming to be Odin. I'm gonna guess not well. If she wants to please them, as it seems that she does right now, I wonder if she will give it up. Just a thought. I do want her ideas to be challenged though, so that she can grow one way or another. Yeah, so the discussion around Yamato I still feel like is really interesting, although I kind of want to put my foot half in and half out, because anytime I bring it up it becomes super toxic for absolutely no reason. But I would say overall my opinion is that Yamato should be Yamato and not Odin. I can understand idolizing someone and wanting to be like them. I want to be like Odin, that's fair. But to want to be Odin or even think that you are Odin is weird to me. When thinking about Yamato, I'm thinking about, what is Oda's purpose for all of this? What is it intending to do? Because, this is so weird that it's like, okay, there's got to be a moral to the story, right? So the only moral that makes sense to me right now is that Yamato needs to accept that he or she is Yamato. And as you sort of suggest here, I think that the retainers are gonna be similar. I mean, for instance, hi, I'm Odin, as she speaks to Momonosuke is almost insulting, potentially. It would certainly be uncomfortable. You're not Odin. So that could be an avenue in which we get to this moment. But either way, I'm curious. Is this just a thing that is, like a fun detail of the story, and then for the most part it has no story implications whatsoever, it's just meant to be funny? Is this just a total gag, or is there more to it? I mean, I think the question is worthy. Next comment. Hey Joyboy, love your videos. Don't you think Marco vs. King is an obvious matchup? I think that the scene where they both throw Big Mom's ship off Wano clearly points to that, and it makes a lot of sense being both first crewmate of a Yonko. I appreciate the love, man. At this point, I am extremely conflicted. I think that details in the story lead me to believe Sanji vs. King seems likely. I think just aesthetically speaking, Zoro vs. King makes a lot of sense. And obviously you have Perospero wants to fight King, and Perospero is with Marco, and as you suggest, that matchup makes a lot of sense as well. Especially since both are flying creatures. Like, come on, it's almost too easy. I would say that right now my opinion is that everyone is going to fight King. Seriously. This is a big battle, skirmishes are likely, and you might see King rotate between various fights. I could realistically see King defeat Perospero and Marco. I know that there's a lot of Marco fans out there, but I could see King defeating Marco to hype up the Beast Pirates, and then fight someone like Sanji or Zoro afterwards. In fact, the conversation right now surrounding Zoro is that Zoro is going to fight Kaido. So King might fight Marco and Perospero and then fight Zoro. Zoro goes up to fight Kaido, and then Sanji finishes the fight versus King. I could see that happening. It would obviously be unconventional, but this entire fight I think has been unconventional from the start. Just a reminder, we have two Yonko here. It all really depends on what Oda is going for. I think it would have some meaning if Zoro couldn't finish off his opponent before having to fight Kaido. Everyone needs to pick it up. This fight being some sort of wake-up call. But at this point, because there's nothing that really sticks out to me as like, yes, I need this, I want this seems likely, we're just in wait-and-see mode, and I trust Oda to give us something good. Oda's got a plan. Next comment. This chapter is setting us up for disappointment. We're riding this impossible high right now, but at the same time, Kinemon just died off screen, or at least got seriously hurt. I can't be the only one who noticed this. Over the course of the chapter, everyone lost their disguises. I did a hard double take the moment we got a close-up on Robin, and went like, hold on a second, didn't she still have on those devil horns on her head just a few pages ago? And sure enough, in that glorious group shot at the end of the chapter, no one is wearing Kinemon's outfit anymore. It doesn't feel like we're losing, the chapter said and jinxed it. We're about to wake up to harsh reality of facing the strongest creature in battle, I'm afraid. Yo, this comment is actually really interesting because it is true that in this chapter 989, we start off with both Jinbei and Robin very clearly still in their disguises, and then about halfway through the chapter before Robin and Jinbei attacked Big Mom, they lost their disguises, and so we don't actually get to see them change. So this, the theory essentially here is that somewhere right in the middle of this chapter, Kinemon got knocked out or heavily injured. I really doubt that he died. So my 2 cents here, guys, is that it feels like it happened too quickly for Kinemon to sustain this heavy of damage, but it isn't impossible. I think generally my opinion here is that Robin and Jinbei just took off their costumes off screen. If their costumes vanished without them intentionally taking them off, you would assume some sort of reaction from them, like, why did this happen? Or concern, or ... or something. It's sort of like an announce your faction sort of deal. We came in wearing the disguises so that we wouldn't be noticed, but now that we're actually fighting, we don't need the disguises anymore, and Oda just chose not to show this because it really isn't all that important. I think that Oda accomplished this fairly effectively in the chapter before, where we see many members of the Alliance straight up just take the disguises off. But if you end up being right, man, whew, what a catch. That being said, the general feel of this comment is, kind of, you jinxed it. And absolutely, I feel that. It doesn't feel like we're losing. It's kind of like saying, we are losing, or we're gonna lose. Next comment. A thought, partly as a writer, Jinbei's attack in this chapter is not a Fishman karate move. It's officially a Fishman judo, jujitsu, other translations, technique. Judo and jujitsu are martial arts that were initially developed to use an opponent's strength against themselves. Thus, it was a great martial arts for smaller people to practice for defense. Yeah, it's these little things right here that let you know that Oda does care. There is thought put into this, right? All sorts of power scalers are so mad about the treatment of Big Mom, but it's these things right here that let you know that Oda considers Big Mom's strength. And so specifically uses a technique here with Jinbei that is meant for a smaller, weaker opponent to take on somebody stronger. You use their strength and their momentum against them. It makes it far more reasonable for Jinbei to accomplish what it is that he did. This one little word, what it accomplishes is it caters to the power scalers out there. Especially against somebody like Big Mom. I think we'll get into a comment later, who doesn't seem to have a lot of skill. She's just brute strength. Which is actually a good segue into this comment. Everyone seems to laugh about Big Mom, but I feel like they missed the point. Big Mom is strong, but it doesn't seem like she is a skilled fighter. She truly lacks combat strategy and usually wins by going berserk. I mean, I really don't have anything to add to this because it seems very apparent. Big Mom is a unique combination of attributes. She can't be damaged. It's stated she's never suffered any injury whatsoever aside from the whole Carmel situation, which is, not the norm. And then she's also stupidly strong. This kind of combination justifies lack of skill as a fighter, especially with how careful I believe that she is. So right now she's very much not being careful. She's chased the Strides into enemy Yonko territory, and it is in this moment that King was able to essentially drown her into the ocean. So this is not a normal situation that she would have put herself in. I believe that she is the type to let her enemies come to her, as is demonstrated in Whole Cake Island. At least I don't believe so. We'll see how exactly Oda expands upon her history, various battles that she's been in the past. But generally the strategy, even of incredibly strong fighters like Roger, is to not fight her at all. I personally think that tells you enough right there. Kaido, who knocked out Gear Force Luffy in a single hit, fought Big Mom for hours and did nothing to her. When she is not being overconfident, she has no need for any direct combat skill. Even if somebody uses skill in order to beat her in a single moment, he will never defeat her, ever. Next comment. So nobody's going to talk about Big Mom saying that Jinbei destroyed her fleet? Yeah, I mean, this was a low-key admission about what happened after Luffy and the Stride crew left Jinbei in Whole Cake Island. Or at least it seems that way to me. Jinbei and the fishmen straight beasted them. I guess this shows you how powerful fishmen are in a water battle. Obviously, you have Devil Fruit users like Oven who can heat the sea, but if you don't have a Devil Fruit that acts specifically on the sea or can in some way trap fishmen who move incredibly fast while they are in the sea, then they can just destroy ships one after another until you can't chase them. And even if Oven on his ship could chase him, he can only heat the sea around him. So as the ship moves, then it would provide an opportunity for the Fishman to destroy his ship as well. Fishman in the sea is totally underrated. I do wish that Oda had chosen a more interesting plan here, just personally. There's something about all of this that after the fact leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like the moment between Jinbei and Luffy, remember I'm your captain, that was great. But Jinbei having to stay behind all these events occurring in order to save the rest of the Fishman crew seems like something that Oda knew needed to happen, but didn't actually want to devote any time to whatsoever. I think Oda considered it to be boring, and hearing about it after the fact, I would agree, compared to all the other things that we want to get into. This feels like it could have been managed in some way slightly better. Not that I could have accomplished that. This is at the very least true, I think, because the community created expectations based on what had occurred that far surpassed anything that we actually got. Our minds started wandering and it just blew what Oda actually intended out of the water. And that's not usually a good recipe. I almost wish that, although I really enjoyed the moment between Luffy and Jinbei, remember I'm your captain, it feels like Oda was like, I really like this moment, so let's include that, and so that required Jinbei all these other things that he didn't want to show. I think I would have preferred if the Fishman, aside from Jinbei, had died and Jinbei stayed with the Straw Hats. That's what I would have preferred personally, even though we got a great moment out of it anyway. Intentionally or not, right or wrong, Oda created expectations here that he could not live up to. Next comment. Wouldn't the obvious choice for Kaido buying giants would be Doflamingo? So yes and no. Doflamingo is Joker, he's the broker. So as far as I understand it, the way the underground works is that essentially Doflamingo connected various groups together. Somebody who has something to sell contacts Doflamingo, and then Doflamingo sets up the selling of these things to various people across the world, and then distributes it. So Doflamingo wouldn't have been the one to sell Kaido because he wasn't the one who owned the giants. If the giants are from Punk Hazard, then the world government or Vegapunk or somebody like that would have owned the giants. And then through Doflamingo sold them through the underground. And this is a pretty good segue into another comment. It seems like it has to be Caesar who sold the giants. Vegapunk hadn't been on Punk Hazard for a while, and Caesar was already doing business with Kaido Doflamingo. So the low-key detail here is that Kaido, it seemed like, had the numbers from 20 years in the past. We can see them in Oden's flashback. So he bought the numbers, or at least some numbers, 20 years ago before Punk Hazard was destroyed, so the seller in this case would have had to been Vegapunk or the world government, not Caesar. Unless Caesar first stole them somehow. It gets really convoluted. I don't know how you steal ores-like creatures, especially stealing them from the world government. Top secret and all. And another related comment, considering what we know about the numbers, do you think there is a relation between them and the Yeti Cool brothers? I absolutely 100% believe that there is a connection here. The Yeti Cool brothers are totally unexplained, whatever the hell they are. If the world government is capable of creating ores-like giants, then the Yeti Cool brothers could be experiments as well. In fact, I think that you should expect that they are. Every weird thing in Punk Hazard was explained to be an experiment, except for the Yeti Cool brothers. Oda is 100% going to come back to this. I guarantee it. I personally think that the Yeti Cool brothers are more successful experiments than the numbers. I think that the numbers are older than the Yeti Cool brothers. And I would not be surprised if the world government or Vegapunk left the Yeti Cool brothers in Punk Hazard in order to defend it. Because of all the various technology and things that could be found there, that makes sense to me. But yeah, last comment on this general subject. Do you think the SSG are the perfected version of the giant experiments and human weapons? Guys, my opinion is the SSG are the perfected version of the Pacifista. It's like a combination of all the various technology that the world government has been working on, for instance Pacifista, with multiple devil fruit abilities or the ability to use all sorts of different powers. Maybe they're bigger, maybe they're stronger, maybe they're as durable as a dragon, that sort of thing. I think that we've already seen the perfected version of the giant experiments. We saw them in Marineford. They were confused for actual giants. I think that the world government got so successful in this experimentation that they've created individuals that could pass for actual giants, but they're not. An interesting detail to me is that the only giant confirmed to actually be a giant is John Giant, stolen from Elbaf. All the other giants that are in the government, not confirmed. Or at least their origin is completely uncertain because Carmel only admitted to ever getting one giant out of Elbaf. They got so good at it you can't tell. But yeah guys, that's just my theory. As for ancient giants or ores-like giants, I could see this being still low-key, and we could see later a perfected version of ores-like giants. I hate to bring this up, but Ores Jr. during Marineford disappeared. Maybe that is exactly what they needed to perfect that experimentation. We already know that Germa can clone humans. What stops them from cloning Ores Jr.? So to this comment's points, could this be SSG? Yeah, it could. Next comment. Hey Joyboy, been a huge fan of your theories for years now. Thank you. As far as the chapter though, would love to hear your thoughts on the winged creatures with King and the fact that he also has them and the comment Big Mom made about his race. Me personally, I think back to Lafitte and how he made it into Mary Joie that one time and how that may connect. I actually had similar thoughts when I first read the chapter, but after looking at the creatures that surround King, I tend to believe that they are actually flying smile users. So they aren't the same race as King, only related because they fly. As for the Lafitte and King connection, that's interesting. I tend to think that they're not of the same race because King was supposed to be special, but it could be. Pure gut feeling is that Lafitte's wings, which we have actually seen in the story, is the product of a devil fruit. It's really interesting to think about what race King could be that would separate him from everything else that we know about in the story. I think that we can guess that he's probably not just a winged race like the Skypians or the Birkins. He's likely not the demon race such as Magellan or Hannibal or Moria. I wonder if he might be a part of a bird race, no lie. I think it was confirmed in SBS that Morgan's is a devil fruit user, so that explains his appearance. So we haven't actually seen any straight up bird people, and so we have minks, we have fishmen, but no bird people. This seems like a very easy solution. I've talked about all sorts of other like crazier speculations, such as him being a mythical creature like a phoenix, but that actually exists in the world, not just a devil fruit, and all sorts of things relating to that. But purely logical, what makes the most sense would be a bird man. Next comment. Lol, I honestly just watched for the drawing. I should be hurt by this, but I really can't blame anybody if this is true. Next comment. JB got a tinfoil idea for you. So the Fire Festival is supposed to be a holiday commemorating the dead, but that aspect hasn't been played up much. What if Oda uses that idea in some way later on as some special aspect of Wano's tradition? I'm thinking a connection between Yamato and Odin's spirit, or maybe even Ryuma in some way. I gotta be honest with you, this is so far over my head that I have absolutely no idea. But just to add on to the general idea of this supposed to be commemorating the dead, we have the Kokeshi dolls from early in the story, which, you know, the role in the story these are supposed to play, we have absolutely no idea, but they also have a connection with the deceased, in this case, deceased children. Throwing that one out there. But yeah, this is a good comment, I have no strong thoughts. And finally, guys, we have the last comment. This one is pretty simple. Where's Carrot? So I gotta be honest with you guys, since Wano, Carrot has become a background character. She actually appeared in the chapter, again, twice as a background character. A lot of people were looking for her to be somewhere in that final panel with all of the confirmed official Straw Hats, but she wasn't there at all. The longer this continues, the more that I believe that Carrot is not Straw Hat Crew material, or Oda doesn't see her in that way, and that she's more likely to join the Grand Fleet. The thing that you have to be savvy with, that Oda spent a lot of effort dedicated to Carrot and Whole Cake Island, and there has to be some reason to do so. So she has an important place in the end game of the story, and so either as a crew member or Grand Fleet makes sense. Also, when it comes to the Grand Fleet, you'll notice that almost all of the various races of the One Piece world are accounted for. Giants and dwarves and long arms and long legs, but there are no minks, so I think that you need a mink within the Grand Fleet or the Straw Hat Crew. Of course, I say this often, right? But if Oda wants to do something, he also goes to great lengths to set up the idea, which he did in Whole Cake Island, and then he goes to great lengths to make you not believe it, so that when it actually happens, it's surprising, which would make sense as, you know, being portrayed as a background character, essentially make you forget about her until she comes back and then she joins the crew. But especially since the introduction of Yamato, I am losing faith, or faith isn't the right word, because I don't really care who joins the crew. Oda, at the end of the day, is going to do what he wants to do, and I assume that he, it's going to work out, he has some plan, and it's going to be great. But I see Carrot being less likely. But Kinemon brain, maybe that is exactly what Oda intends. I'm falling into the trap. I don't know. But yeah, guys, I'm sorry for this video being delayed, but those are the comments that I want to address in this video. As always, guys, share your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video, subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content, and as always, guys, have a wonderful day.